Hello. Today, I'd like to talk about Jesus. I was raised Catholic. We were going to church twice a month. We were celebrating Christmas and Easter, and that's how I was raised. I was praying every night to Jesus. I had this picture that I was looking at. That was Jesus in a boat with a lamb, um, and on the lake, surrounded by beautiful trees, and he was showing the way, you know. So this was the image I was seeing every night before I was going to sleep. And we were not, I was not raised in fear. We were not afraid of sin or hell or anything like that. I was aware of it. I knew there was heaven and there was hell. I just pictured hell, like burning, because that's how they explained to me. Oh, it burns, it's hot. There, it burns a lot, it's hot. Okay, fine. And purgatory, I could never grasp what exactly purgatory was. And then heaven. And heaven, I was focused a lot on heaven. So I imagined there, Jesus sitting there. And then we go to him when we cross, when we pass away. Um, when I became a teenager, I somehow got this idea that Jesus is the purpose of our life. I was maybe 15, maybe 16, and I was talking to my friends about this all the time. Like, Jesus is the purpose of life. And they were listening to me. They were tolerant. I had tolerant friends. Yeah, my friends were amazing. And when I was speaking about this, it was very clear to me that Jesus is the purpose of life. Although, what exactly did I mean by this? Now, when I think about it, I don't know. But it felt very clear to me at that time when I was talking to them. And then I started studying and I met a guy, an intellectual guy, very, very smart, a philosopher, anything you like. And he became my boyfriend. And he challenged me a lot on this subject. He even would say, like, you should have studied theology. And then little by little, slowly, he dismantled my belief in Jesus. He gave me a couple of books to read, and in one of those books, I read that Bibles were written 200 years after Jesus' passing, and they were compared one with another. And there were lots of inaccuracies, like one apostle says this, another one apostle says this about the same situation. So I thought there are so many inaccuracies, and they were written such a long time after Jesus' passing. Like, it makes no sense. And there were many other things, but it was such a long time that I read that book. But that basically completely turned me against, not against, but made me think that, yeah, this is all not true. And I stopped believing in Jesus, and I became an atheist. And I lived my life from that point on as an atheist. I was not Catholic. I mean, I would still go to church from time to time for Christmas or so, but I was not a believer. And then I began my spiritual path in 2020. I started meditating, and then I did life between life hypnosis, a very long hypnosis. And over there, when I went up, the first person that greeted me was Jesus. And I was like, really? Jesus? I was still, I wasn't, I was like, I cannot believe it. I mean, you're not like real. I mean, I don't believe in you or something like that. I don't know what were my thoughts, but I completely dismissed him. And so then he turned into someone else. And then life went on. I kept meditating, and in my meditations, very often, Jesus would be present. Then I started accepting him a little bit more, um, letting him in. Like, okay, I just saw Jesus. Jesus was here. Jesus came, and this and that. And then I read a book that really changed my perception about Jesus, which was Dolores Cannon book about Essenes. What was it called? I don't remember. And that kind of started making sense to me that, oh, that's how, what Jesus was. That actually makes sense. Well, basically, what I'm saying is that slowly but surely, Jesus made his life, made himself back into my life, came back into my life. And so sometimes in these meditations, he would come to me, show up, or he wouldn't, he would be just there. And once I was walking in the park, because I was meditating in the park. Every morning I would go to nature and meditating in the park. And I was walking, and then I felt Jesus walking next to me. He was just walking with me. I was like, oh, Jesus, thanks for walking with me. And Jesus said, yeah, like we used to. I'm like, oh, really? Like, I don't remember, but if you say so, kept walking with Jesus. And then I asked him, so Jesus, so what's your message for me? Since you're showing up here. So what's your message for me? And he said, love for all. And that was it. So the life went on, and Jesus kept coming to me, just showing himself, manifesting, and I was no longer rejecting him. And that message, love for all, was really powerful to me. And there is this medium that I speak with maybe twice a year. And I always had difficulty with the second part of the day. Like when the sun would start going down, or not even quite like sunsets, but like before sunset. I would become very, very lonely. Very like, I would feel so bad, like, don't know, like depression, loneliness, some sorrow would come over me. Like I would just want to scream. I didn't want to be on this earth during that part of the day. And it was always a mystery to me because I was feeling this since I was a girl. If I was outside and I would see the sun go down, I'm like, wow, this pain, this loneliness would come over me. So I asked my psychic medium, what was that about? Why do I feel like this? And she said, because you saw Jesus being crucified, and he was crucified during this time of the day, like in the afternoon, and you saw him, and it hit you so badly that you feel it until now. And that made sense to me. And then when Jesus was walking with me in the forest, and he said, like, oh, like we used to, I was like, I started asking myself a question. So who was I in Jesus' life? Maybe, because obviously I saw him being crucified, so I was there. But then I was walking. He said I used to walk with him. So who was I? And then during my next meeting, months and months after this first one, when she said I saw Jesus being crucified, I asked my psychic medium again, who was I in his life? And she told me who I was. And I was actually really close to him. Very, very close to him. But the thing is that before asking her, I meditated into this and I asked also, who was I? And I received an answer. Um, and it was not the same person as the medium told me. So when she told me who I was, I said, are you sure? Because when I meditated, I got this name. And my medium checked in again and she said, no, 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 you were this. So that's why I'm not telling you who I was, because there are two versions of who I was. Both of these people were very close in his life, very, very close. They were with him, and both of them could have walked with him. But because it's two people and we don't know which one, should I trust my guidance, although my clairaudient skills were not quite there yet, or should I trust my psychic medium? Again, I don't know. The fact is, I was close to Jesus and I did love Jesus very much. And now that he came to me with this message, love for all, and I was thinking about the spiritual path that I've taken and about the meaning of life and looking for a purpose in life. And I came to the conclusion that we learn our lessons. Because we are spiritual beings, we incarnate in these bodies to learn our lessons, to experience life, to experience emotions. And then we bring this information back to the source, back to God. And this is our purpose. To go through this life, experience this life, learn our lessons, and eventually our purpose is to go back to source. And then it made sense to me of what I was saying to my friends when I was 15 or 16, that Jesus is the purpose. God is the purpose. And that now is the same thing of what I think now and what I was thinking then. The source, we have to go back to the source and bring all this information, all these emotions, everything we went through back to source. And love each other. Love for all. Just go back to love, because source is love. And this is, I think, our purpose in these incarnations. To go through all these emotions, just to realize that we are all love. We're connected by love. We are love. We are made of love. And bring this whole experience back to the source. So this is my story about Jesus. Thank you very much for listening.